The former Defense Minister of Canada, Paul Hellyer, says, "Be careful with extraterrestrial aliens lest we start an interstellar war." According to the former Canadian Minister of Defense, he's quoted as saying, "We have to be careful when dealing with extraterrestrial beings because it could cause an interstellar war. It seems like we should be careful what we do on our planet." The former Canadian Defense Minister Paul Hellyer has explicitly warned military units to avoid dealing with UFOs. Let's remember he also said that some of them look totally human. If we were to pass them on the sidewalk, we would believe that they were Homo sapiens. Now, as Minister of Defense of Canada, he oversaw the drastic and controversial integration and consolidation of the Royal Canadian Naval Academy, the Canadian Army, and the Royal Canadian Air Force into a single organization, the Canadian Armed Forces. His position gave him access to many classified documents, including those on extraterrestrial life and UFOs. Hellyer believes that extraterrestrial species have been visiting our planet for thousands of years. He strongly believes that we are not the only intelligent species in the universe and believes that Earth has been visited by extraterrestrial beings for thousands of years, believing that extraterrestrial beings still walk among us today. During one of his interviews where he talked about extraterrestrial life and UFOs, Hellyer reportedly said this: "There are about 50 UFOs in formation flying south from Russia across Europe. There were about 50 UFOs in formation flying from south from Russia to Europe, across Europe, and the Allied High Command was very worried and about ready to hit the panic button when they went back over the North Pole. They decided to do a survey, and after researching for 3 years, they decided that with absolute certainty, 4 species at least had visited our planet thousands of years ago." Just like Edgar Mitchell, the former Secretary of Defense believes that extraterrestrials are very interested in our weapons of mass destruction, such as a nuclear bomb, Hellyer believes that UFO activity on Earth has increased dramatically since the first test of the atomic bomb. The first nuclear device ever to explode was a bomb that failed in the Trinity test, which was conducted in Alamo Gordo, New Mexico, July 16, 1945. He believed that the control and use of weapons of mass destruction has attracted the attention of extraterrestrial civilizations throughout the universe. He said, "We could be so stupid as to start using atomic weapons again, because that would be very bad for us and for them too." There are dozens of alien races out there. Most of them are extremely technologically advanced, he claims, and the former Defense Secretary believes there are many species that inhabit the universe. He said there are about 80 different species, and some of them look just like us, and they could walk down the street, and I don't know if any have walked in the past. They are what we call Nordic blondes, the tall whites who actually worked with the U.S. Air Force in Nevada. Then they are the short grays, as they're called, and they're the ones that you see in most of the cartoons. They've got very, very thin arms and legs. They're very small, just over 5 feet, and they've got a great big head and big brown eyes, he said. Each species is, according to Hellyer, unique and has its own agenda. Some of them look like us, while other species are completely different. Each of them thinks differently. But Hellyer also believes that the majority of extraterrestrial species that exist visit Earth are benign, and that these species are here to help us grow as a civilization. He says, "I'd say almost everyone is benign and well-intentioned and wants to help us. There might be 1 or 2 species that don't. That's one of the things I'm looking into right now, to see who he is and what he's up to and what their agenda really is. We must not forget that our inferior technology is something to think about when approaching these aliens. If these beings have the capacity for interstellar travel, possess massive airships that defy known physics, then surely they must have extremely advanced weaponry. We should be very careful when dealing with aliens, but how careful could we be in an alien invasion if an alien invasion is upon us? I think it's a possibility, but it's a possibility especially if we shoot down every UFO that comes into our airspace without asking who they are and what they want. From the beginning, we started encryption on the planes, trying to take them down, but their technology was quite superior and we were not able to get away with it, certainly for a long time. Despite developing our own Star Wars to protect ourselves against them, we will have to work with the benevolent species that are the vast majority in order to cooperate and rely heavily on them, he said. UFO sightings have doubled since the testing and use of nuclear weapons began. He also believes that the various alien species interact with each other. Even if most of them have their own interests, they often share a common goal. He said they can interact with each other, and I guess that there's this thing called their federation, and they have rules. For example, one of the rules is that they do not contradict or our cases unless they are called, and that is one of the reasons perhaps that they do not appear more than until very recently. According to Hellyer, extraterrestrial beings are very concerned about the future of humanity. They don't want to interfere in our affairs. They have accepted the fact that this is our planet and that we have a right to it, but they are very worried because they see that we are not good stewards. We are cutting down its forests, polluting the rivers and lakes, and we are sewage feeders to the oceans, and we do all kinds of things that are not what would qualify as a good steward as hosts. And we have already been, however, given a chance to do something better, to learn from our mistakes and to take care of our planet, which is very unique, he said. The world is based on free choice. You're given the opportunity to make mistakes and wrong choices. And I guess what bothers some of us is that we've made too many wrong choices and not enough right choices. And he says, so we should go, start changing our priorities, and stop spending so much time and effort on weapons to kill each other or dominate each other, instead of spending much more time on how to help each other to have a better life and a fairer society and a life that is healthier. Our future, he says, as a species, and by this I mean the totality of species in the world, is potentially at risk if we don't understand what's going on and work together and try to make life more receptive for all of us and work with our neighbors, us from other planets, for goodness sake, he says. And this I've translated for you from a Greek article. Please leave your comments. Thank you for your support. Kindly support my Patreon account. The daily posts are 5 videos daily, and they are totally different from what I have on my YouTube channel. Thank you so much for your support and that you find all my content so interesting. You'll find the Patreon account details in the description box below.